So here's why 99% of media buying consists of what metrics to not look at. This is a statement I made on Twitter recently that got a little bit of attention. I wanted to make a video about that because this is something that most of our ad students and clients keep asking over and over again, which is like, hey, should I look at this? Should I take care of my CPM? Should I look at my click-through rate? Or what metrics do I even need to consider as like success metrics in my funnel? So if you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing growth firm specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. Now, we've profitably spent over $9.6 million on ads on the behalf of our clients in the last year alone and generated over $30 million in paid ads revenue in the process. And with that said, let's get straight into today's video. So, had a couple conversations with different students, which I will be sharing screenshots of those on screen for you. So, first and foremost, right, the one I think I have the most often is CPM. So, although I did make a video recently that talked about like when do I look at CPMs and what to do if ad costs are quite high? Well, I don't always default to looking at CPM as the first metric to optimize. In fact, this is one of the last metrics I even consider looking into to optimize an account. And an example of that is actually Jonathan, which is someone within our ad engine community who basically asked me like often, Justin, the hook rates, hold rate, and CTR is good, but the CPM makes it impossible to be profitable. What are some things we can do to improve this? And I was like, look, before we call to say that, CPMs are too high or they're out of the ordinary, let's just define like what ordinary or average is within a space, right? So I asked them, I need to know what industry, country, and state, and the exact CPM you're referring to. And then he was like, well, I'm talking about the US mouth tapes e-com brand for sleeping with $44 USD average CPMs. Honestly, that's not bad. Like that was my answer to him. It's like, well, this is not really a problem to me. I have, as an example, advertised very often to some brands that can go all the way up to like 70, 80 bucks, but more importantly, like health and beauty brands, which are going to have this like 50 to 80. Honestly, if it's above 50 or 60, I'd say usually it starts being very much on the high side for an e-com brand. But again, that's very rare. So in my previous video where I talked about CPMs, I did use the example of a supplement brand that we had at the agency that just went through the roof. They had like 88 to $110 CPM, which for an e-com brand is very abnormal. Okay, it's very, very unlikely for an e-com brand. Like 44 bucks for a lot of like skincare, health brands and such is very normal. So I was like, well, look, that's not really an issue right now, is it? Right? This is not what you should be looking at. When he was like, well, we have like 1 to 2% plus like CTRs and such. Is there anything I can really do? I'm like, well, you got to focus on products with either a higher AOV or higher LTV of that customer. Like there's other ways you can optimize that. So that was a situation I faced with him. Then another situation I faced with a separate student, Jose, actually was like, Justin, what would you consider a good and decent hook rate and hold rate? I was like, well, hook rate above 25% makes sense. Like 1 out of 4 people who come across your ad on their feed should be hooked by it, quite frankly. Now, hold rate, I'd said, well, it kind of depends, honestly, various factors. I'm like, frankly, with me, I typically never look at this metric. Would it be hold rate or video view percentages? And then people are like, Justin, how dare you not optimize the ad creative? How dare you not optimize the video ad? Frankly, I look at the concept health as like one thing, right? If I want to have something specific about a concept, sure, I'll look through it, but very, very rarely will I go through the process of looking into hold rate and hook rate and such. Because frankly, in my experience, I found very little correlation between most of these soft metrics and getting a so-called like good ROAS or good CPA or good cost per lead. And I've got examples of that I'll show you a little later in this video. So with that said, like I've seen very healthy ROAS with poor through play or poor CTR or high CPM. And it just goes to show that very rarely is there like a direct correlation between these metrics. Now, I'm not saying to just disregard them altogether. What I'm saying is 99% of the time, you actually can simply disregard them. I think I spend more time telling students and other business owners where to not look into rather than where to look into, because seriously, I'd rather work by elimination and work by addition in most of these cases. So going back to the case of Jose, he was then asking me, well, Justin, what are the steps I should be doing to improve my CTR, my hook rate, my hold rate? And I was like, well, look, first of all, right now, you're talking about like funnels within a funnel, right? I almost see this as like a Russian doll, right? Because then your bigger funnel is like, you have link clicks that go to landing page view, to go to add to cart, to go to checkout, to go to purchase. That's the funnel. But then to optimize this funnel, you have to optimize the funnel within the funnel, which is now at the start. That is your creative funnel, right? The link click part, the link click, the landing page view part. Okay, what's happening here, right? What's click through click-through rate. Well, you can improve click-through rate by working the creative. How do you improve the creative? Well, you look inside the click-through rate, which is another funnel, right? Another little doll within a Russian doll, which is like, now you want to look at hook rate, at video view 25%, 50%, 75%, 100% through play, etc. So with that in mind, it kind of never ends, to be honest. There's like so many little ways you can tweak a concept or an ad or a funnel that, like, you know, seriously, I just don't bother to check there. And I want to throw on screen right now a screenshot of one of our new lead gen ad accounts, which has an incredibly high CPM within the US. They have, I think, like a $200 to $250 CPM, and even got all the way up to $290 CPM on one ad set within, again, I think the last week or so. And I started to be a little worried looking into that, because I was like, is that normal? Again, this is a B2B lead gen business. So I was like, I know CPMs are higher, but that high, honestly, maybe I should start being concerned. But everything else is within KPI. Like, our click-through rate is insanely high. Our cost per lead is incredibly low. Our cost per qualifiable call is well within KPI. So I'm like, do I really need to worry about CPM if everything else is falling into order? I don't think so. And that's why I made the claim at the start of this video, where 99% of media buying is about what metrics to not look at versus the metrics to look at. Because you have so many metrics available to you on the ads manager. In fact, there's over 350 metrics that you can check just from Facebook Ads Manager alone. So I personally do not want to look at a dashboard of columns with 350 columns to look at, because I'm going to be looking at data for days. Now, there's a reason why these metrics are offered to you, because there is usefulness to them in specific cases. But like day to day, if I look at a lead gen or e-com account, I'll throw again screenshots on screen right now to show you what is my usual column setup so that you can replicate the same within your ad account. These metrics show you everything you need on a daily basis. They show you whether or not your creative is, first of all, engaging, and whether or not it converts, or at least it gets clicks. And it kind of shows you the health of your overall targeting and audience / creative setup. It shows you where people are dropping off within your funnel, because you see every kind of step within your funnel, and you can quickly see at a glance whether or not you are profitable with these ads. And I'll even put up on screen right now, I did another post in our ad engine community lately where I was talking about like broad still being king for lead gen. I always like to put my own strategies to a test and see whether or not what I claim to be working is obviously still the best strategy out there. So every now and then, maybe every other week or so, we'll test some new style of audiences and whatnot. And seriously, my team wholeheartedly agrees that broad is still the way to go. Like, I've tried that on one of our new accounts. I tried lookalikes twice in the last week, and both times broad outperformed it, which is like, all right, great. Then I don't need to overcomplicate my targeting. I don't need to overcomplicate my ad setup. I don't need to overcomplicate the amount of metrics I look into. So what is complicated at the end of the day? The creative part, right? Making sure that your creatives are data driven, but most importantly, are fundamentally backed by thorough research, and you know that your ads are targeting the right positioning, the right mass market desire, the right sophistication stage of that audience, and overall just appealing to that audience. And then if you're tired of watching other YouTubers out there telling you to make better ad creatives, simply check out one of our latest top video on the channel called How to Build like a Local Lead Gen Ad Campaign, which I actually show you my thought process when making a quote unquote fundamentally sound ad creative so that you can replicate that. And keep in mind, this is not just for lead gen. This works amazingly well for e-commerce. In fact, this strategy I first developed for our e-commerce brands, and I then ported over to lead gen, which works well across every industry we've tried so far. Now, if you're watching this video and you are an e-commerce or info product business owner wanting to work with a paid ads partner on Facebook, Google, and or TikTok, check out a link down below and book in a call to speak with our team today. And on that note, I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.